Hello everyone. Today I will go over the 6 steps that I had to follow to go from a mid-career engineer to a Japanese language student in Tokyo. Let's go over each step and I'll share my screen so you can follow along and also see the link. So let's get into it. Okay, so let's go over the steps. How you can go to Japan as a language student, a mid-career computer engineer's experience. So this is based on my personal experience back in 2014, but the steps are very similar even now. There might be some details that are different depending on the language school and the requirements that you need for your specific setup. But for me, it was really about getting there as a mid-career engineer, and I was 29 at the time. So that's also something that's important to know. So the first step was to actually is to check the requirement as a student and the benefits. The second one, in a way, the first one is research and apply to a language school of your choice. Second one, get your student visa in the country of origin. Search for accommodation in Japan online, go to Japan, and get settled into your new life. So that's those are the 5 big steps there. And I chose 0 because this should be a pre-step, a precondition, especially to know if you are even able to get a visa, right? So the goal of this is to get the Japanese student visa, right? So and that visa has, I think, a limit of 2 years, but you can use it as long as you're staying in school, and you just have to pay the student fees and of course meet the school's requirements, right? Attendance and so forth, right? So first of all, eligibility, right? So this would come down to actually the Japanese immigration office will actually have to decide if they would allow you to come to Japan as a student, right? So I'll explain more about the steps later, but this is actually just you applying and the immigration checking if you are okay to actually come here in Japan and stay as a student, right? So they'll check your background as well and your intentions and whatnot. So it's very straightforward. This is all done by the form so that you have to fill in and they will apply for you. So they meaning the school. So, student visa. So this is the goal, right? So to get the student visa in a way, you would actually get to have a sponsorship. So a sponsorship is mostly somebody in Japan that sponsors you for the visa. Usually a company, it can also be a person, but it is actually now tied to a school. And so they will in a way be a bit liable to give you your visa in a way, but so that's the visa system in Japan. So they always are linked to a sponsor that you need to get permission from. Then money and savings. So the general rule of thumb here is to have a minimum of 1 million Japanese yen for every 6 months that you study. 1 million Japanese yen for a minimum of, so the minimum is to get 1 million Japanese yen for every 6 months that you study. And 1 million Japanese yen is right now, it's around 7,000 USD, which, so if you want to stay for a year, you just double that. If you want to stay for 4 years, for 2 years, sorry, you just quadruple that. So that's the absolute minimum to not only go as a student, but also be able to sustain yourself at the school that you go and your lifestyle in Japan. So there's 2 ways to actually do this. So the first one is actually to have this amount of savings by yourself. So in a way, you're self-sponsored. So I did this. So I saved up 2 million yen before applying, right? So that I had that in the bank account because you will be asked to show the school that you have that amount of money in a bank account accessible for you to live in Japan. Or you have a financial sponsor, somebody that you have a very strong link to. So your parents, your grandparents, very, very close friends, or somebody that can show like on paper and like, who is this person linked to you? So somebody that will sponsor your life in Japan for the duration of your student life. So, and they will also have to share a bit of their background as well. I think also the statement of their bank account and how they will assist you every month. So Plan ahead. So this part here is very crucial. The money is also very crucial, of course, but you'll probably be a bit surprised about how long this all takes. Because in my case, it took me 4 months to actually get my Japanese student visa. And so, meaning 4 months from the beginning of just emailing the school to then actually applying, getting my COE, and then also to finally get that paper sent by mail, and then not email but by physical mail, and then also going to the Japanese embassy in your country and getting your Japanese visa, right? So that took me like 4 months, and I was just in time. Like, I think I only had 2 weeks left to go to Japan, and then of course set up my life there, because I had to start school at the beginning of January. So it was really close. So if you want to do this without rushing yourself, just plan that you will probably need 4.5 months. So to actually apply for everything and get ready. So don't think that you can do this in let's say 3 months, 2 months or 3 months. It has to be really well in advance. So I would say 4.5, 5 months is probably your safest bet. So you'll have 4 times that you can apply for this at the year. So January, April, July, and October. So you need to think of having that as your end goal. So like if you want to apply for January, make sure you start at the beginning of August, right? Just as I did it. And if you want to go to April, then just, go back and count at the beginning of December. So, right. So that's how you can actually calculate the amount of time that you need to actually be in time for this enrollment season. So, and everything takes a few weeks, a month to do, especially like the back and forth, sending over papers, physical documents as well by mail, but also the emailing as well with school staff, and if they have certain questions, or if they want to have some clarifications, and it also takes some days as well. So that will add up to your total time as well that you spend on this application, right? So then the next part is perseverance. So it will take you like a while, but at the same time, you have to go through with it. You have to probably do a lot of things at the same time, but don't quit, because there's many great useful guides online as well that can help you out if you're stuck. So like if you're not sure, like if you're able to make it or not. There's many people that talk about this as well. So I also checked a few other YouTube channels as well, where people were talking about their experiences. But find something that's very close to your setup and situation and follow them anyway. So if you just persevere, there's always a way to actually get that done for you. Ideally, they say that you should be younger than 30 years of age, because after your 30 years, I think the Japanese immigration will look at your application a bit more strictly, more carefully as well. Because if you're already, in a way, you're not the youngest anymore and you're trying to apply for a student visa, so they will double check, okay, why are you doing this right now when you're 30 and above? But it's still possible, like I've actually read testimonies of people that were above 30-year-old that actually went to language schools as well. So I think also depending on the school and their restriction and criteria, that you can actually do this with. So be careful about that. So that's why I applied when I was 29, becoming 30. So I was at the last year. So I did not have any issues with my visa, by the way. So there was no issue for me. So I would recommend you to check Gogo Nihon. And that's a nice site that actually tells you how to live and study in Japan. And they are free. So they help students like you trying to actually move over to Japan, and they help many different nationalities and all different schools and different capacities, so people with different goals as well. So I've checked their website extensively, right? They have a great online resource for the schools and the courses, accommodations, study tips and blogs. So they will tell you, for example, give you some estimates on how much that you need. But for example, here the cost of living calculator tells you how much that you need to live a good life in a certain city. For example, Tokyo, if you go to the school for 6 months, how much do I need to save up, or how much money do I need from my sponsor? So they will tell you that, and well, as in a very nice calculator there. So that, I think it was very helpful there. And that's how I got the 6 months average of like $1 million. That's the baseline there. So check them out. They're very good. They're free. So even if you apply directly, which is the second method, right? If you reply that, so just by contacting the school directly, you'll do the same amount of efforts, do it directly, or if you go with Gogo Nihon. So it's the same amount of money, right? So I think they get paid by school-based commission fees. That's probably their business model. So that's why they don't have to charge you, and that's great. I haven't gone through them, but I've known some people that were very happy with them, and they had a very easy time because they could just let Gogo Nihon handle most of the work for them. So highly recommend it, right? So then the benefits of actually getting a Japanese student visa is that you can stay for 2 years, right? As long as you're enrolled in a language school. So it's a very long time in a way if you think about this, so that you can enjoy life in Japan, but also learn Japanese, which is going to be the most important thing as well. So learning Japanese, because that will open doors for, next steps that you want to take and do in Japan, because everything almost needs you being able to understand and speak Japanese to at least a conversational level. So like N3, if you want to have a job, N2, so N2 and 1 almost. So and the balance between study and free time is very good as a language school student. So generally you would have 4 hours of school time in the morning or in the afternoon. It depends on the school and your course, but there was always enough time to also enjoy your life. You don't have to be like only studying as well. So of course, depending on the course, if you have a very intensive course, you probably have to study more after class. But I was able to actually enjoy and do part-time job as well after my school time, and still also be able to enjoy the weekends and not feel swamped with work, homework, or any tasks that I need to do for my school as well. So it was a very good balance. Part-time work is possible after filing an extra form. So I think I'll go over this in the fourth step, getting part-time work. So you'll have to fill in an application form and give it to, I think it was a Japanese embassy booth that would able to give you access to, anyway, allow you to work up to 28 hours a week as a language student. So, and that's great, so that you can offset your cost a bit as well. And it should be able to, at least you will be able to cover your rent. So tax exempt for the first year of residence. So I think it was in my case, I'm not a tax lawyer, so, so don't quote me on this, but I do remember that I didn't have to pay taxes for the first year as a language student. I think it's still very relevant. So the first year you are exempt of any tax obligations. Is the second year that you start to become. So it means that you have a more carefree life in the first year. So my example here is actually from an email that I got from the school that I applied to. So ISI Language School. So and the process that they had was 9 steps long, and it needed all these documents. And so again, I did it in mid August in 2014, but this is probably still very relevant as well, like in this in 2024. So they just go through first submitting all these documents by email. So these are all documents, application for admission form, right? So they send you a personal history form, written proof of sponsors of the person that you that will sponsor you, or if you're self-sponsored as well. You just have to have like testament saying, yes, I will sponsor myself, or this person will sponsor me. Accommodation, a request form if you want them to find you a place to stay, or if you will do that yourself, so as well. Some pictures, passport pictures, right, so that they can use on their documents as well. Copy of leaving certificate of applicant's last school. So this to me was really this translated to a degree or a diploma, so something that tells you that you've graduated from that school or finished your studies in that school, because you need that. You need to have a degree to apply for any work in Japan. So but you don't need it for just going there as a language student. So that's probably the difference there. So copy of the supporter's bank balance certificate, so the same thing, right? So as I mentioned before, you just need to have somebody that can sponsor you, and you need to have proof of that. I just had to send a picture of my bank statements, a PDF of my bank statements, so they could check the total amount of in each bank account. And I think I had to, of course, I think in my case I had 12,000 euros. So 12,000 euros, it's like 2 million, right? Japanese yen, and that was enough. So I'm not sure what the exact amount is that they need right now, but I think it's at least to cover 6 months if you apply for a 6-month program, for example, right? So then you will need 1 million so that you can show that in the bank statement. So they don't ask you to, that's actually something funny here. If you apply for a 3 months or a 6 month, let's say, enrollment class, right? Then you only have to do this once. So you only have to send your bank statement once. So if you extend your stay at that class or that school, right, you don't have to do this again. So they have further documentation, it was really more about questions about my school and how long I stay there. And all the documentation was about which accommodations I found, and they wanted to get the address. So yeah, it was really more about staying in Japan and checking that I was allowed to get the Japanese visa as well, Japanese student visa. They wanted to get the documents in Word, not Excel, so that you can easily change it. Signature was in handwriting, so then I actually did that by doing a digital signature in Adobe and then send it to them as well. They accepted it, so it was no issue. So step one, right? So research and apply to a language school of your choice. Again, I would say, go check out Gogo Nihon. They have a list of schools. Find a school that you actually like. And I did this by going through a few criterias and also checking the testimonials of students and looking at their homes, their homepage, and trying to find people that went to that school as well and hear about their experiences, right? Because every school is different and certain classes might be better for you, especially, the type of students as well that are there, right? Demographics of students, right? So the type of students, so if it's really focused for going to university, higher education, right? If you're just a tourist and you want to study for 3 months with a student visa, then anyway, you don't really need that video, but it might be that you will be in a class with many tourists as well. So if you are, for example, more focused on getting a job in Japan, so you might want to join a class that is more focused for job searching. Right? So that's more intensive because you'll need at least N2 level Japanese, and that's business level. So they'll probably put you up with like a very intensive course so that you can get like the best results in the shortest amount of time. At that time, you'll probably be with students as well that were probably in Japan for a while, and or like me, mid-career people that were just trying to change their lifestyle in a way as well in a different country. So you'll probably have those type of people in your class. So demographics, why is this important? For me, it was important because it was if you are from a non-Asian country and you have never seen kanji in your life, or then you'll have a harder time to learn that, because it will be like a new writing system for you, a reading system as well, and you'll need more time to learn the kanjis. But if you are in a class with people that actually know these symbols, so like from China, like I had many Chinese students in my class, they were always super fast because they know how to write them, like understood the meaning, but then they probably had to just learn how to say them in Japanese, right? So there was a difference in speed there. So they would speed through the kanji lessons, and you would have to be like I had a hard time to keep up, right? So I think that's very interesting to actually understand there. But so if you go to a class that has mostly, let's say, non-Asian students, then you'll probably have a better, I would say, vibe as well in that class, because you are at the same type of environment, and so you will be, lagging behind that easily. So I think that would probably be like a better setup. The courses, type of course that you want to follow: CLPT, focus course, university, job preparation. So it ties to the type of students that are in the course, or the type of students that the school is focusing on. And I think every course has like an optional course that you can do, like maybe like a sub course. For example, in my course, it was the Japanese the Japanese general course, and I was able to choose between to also focus on JLPT, but also the job employment course, job preparation course. And then also there was an option for university preparation. So you could just choose all these different paths, right? So, and depending on these options, you would be placed a few hours a week into a different class or with people that want to do those things. So success rates. So for certain schools, I do like to check, how successful they are, like how successful their courses are. But they are generally always very successful. So anyway, it shouldn't really matter that much. But so I do still check that out there. The fees for every class is different for the school as well. And so if you can afford a more like prestigious, school, then that's good for you. But like I just went with one that was more affordable as well, if you're self sponsoring, but that still had a good reputation. Application forms here, so anything here. So in my case, the COE that I got was valid for 1 year and 3 months, and that is in a way quite long because you need this to get your visa, and then in a way you could just, I don't think you need that form anymore. So Savings sponsor, so that's also where you just have to double check as well, is your sponsor able to pay for the school or not, and do you have enough savings to sign up with the school. So tie it back to the fees, right? So not only the school, but also if you're trying to live in Tokyo, for example, you'll have to account for a higher amount of monthly fees than if you would go, for example, Okinawa or Nagoya, Fukuoka, so Hokkaido, somewhere that is not a mega city like Tokyo. So they also have, lower daily living costs and monthly living costs and expenses. So that's what I also mean with, the savings and your fees here. Again, check out the website Kogo Nihon. They have great guidances and detailed resources on schools. Also great videos and interviews with the students. So they do update their sites very regularly. So my recommended place to check first. Part two, well, the second step in a way, get your student visa in your country of origin. So after you've actually sent out these application forms, to the school, then it will take them like a few months to go through everything and send you the COE by registered mail from Japan straight to your doorstep. And that also takes like a week or something, I think. So then once you receive it, you actually can go to the Japanese embassy in your country. Again, you have to be in your country to do this, and then apply to get the Japanese visa. So they can process it, I think, on the spot. So then you could just get your visa and you would be all set to go to Japan as a student, because then you would have a student visa, you would have your COE as well in there. And yeah, so just make sure that you have a passport that is valid for the next few years, I believe. So, but you should be able to go to Japan at that time. So third part is also to search for accommodation in Japan. And I would recommend to do this online, because you'll get to see the options and a bit of the type of living styles and the prices as well. It's going to be a bit harder for you to find all the available options, because you are doing this online. But from my experience, you'll be able to at least find 3 different options. So the share house, which is just living with other people, sometimes in the same room, right? So where you have shared accommodations. Guest house is very similar as well as the share house. They are also the same, I would say, on the same range of the pricing. Apartments, it's a bit different there, where you just have your own apartment, and so you have to take care of everything by yourself. So depending on what type of apartment that you actually get, but there are also certain different options there. So also to go back first, so start searching at the same time as you start the school enrollment application. So when you apply for this, so the timing of this step should be done at the same time when you start your application for a language school. Ideally, because it will take you also some time to get approved and be able to actually find a place that you can join, right? So because they would have to preserve your room or apartment, so make sure you do this as well in advance. And I actually went through Tokyo Room Finder. It's a website that actually allows you to search for a shared apartment or apartment rights or a share house online, depending on your budget, and gives you some examples as well. So they are very nice. So the difference is that they are working with other accommodation providers, so they gather all these accommodations on their site. So they are not in a way the final landlords, of these places. So that's why they have, I would say, like a very high amount of places to check. And I thought that was very nice. So, and they focus on rooms, so more affordable options, so guest room, shared apartments. So that's how I found my final option that I went to, and actually went with Borderless House. And Borderless House, they are focusing on creating a mix between international and Japanese students. And in a way, you don't have to be students, but people living in a share house. So they have the rules where they were saying half of them should be Japanese, half of them should not be Japanese, half of them should be male, half of them should be female. So they try to get a good balance of each student's role. And that in a way worked very well. So it will mean that they have always a room available, for example, male non-Japanese, female Japanese. So they just want to keep that balance, and I think it's really like a nice idea. So really recommend it. They have English speaking staff. Their onboarding was very easy. You just do like a short Zoom call at the time. No, I was doing a Skype call, and just make sure that you meet their criteria. So not married, between 18 and 35 years old, and not married, and a visa to stay longer than 3 months. But even then, you can stay for like a few months as well. The visa was probably not necessary. So I think you could also do as a tourist visa. So in my case, it was around 55,000 yen per month, which is around 400 per month. A single room is also possible, but I was sharing a room with two other people. It was cheap, but it's also the lack of privacy anyway. You can also get single rooms, which then would be much more, so like probably around 80, right? 5 or like 90 even, right? But you still have to have, shared bathrooms and kitchen, living room, right? But you would have your own bedroom, right? So social apartments, that's also a service I went through as well. So they have a nice place that you can actually have your own apartments. And so with apartments, I'm meaning that you're staying in a shared building, but you have your own apartment. Instead of a room, you have your own apartment. And it's much more upscale than Borderless House, right? Because they really are catered towards, I would say, more full-time employees, right? So, and also more like people that have a bit of savings and can afford this, because the pricing is quite higher. But it's a nice, I would call it, this is the share house for adults, right? So it's really nice. The average age is higher. It's around 25 to 40. While the Borderless House was between 18 and 25. So depending on your age and the environment that you want to be in. After a while, I moved from Borderless House to social apartments, and it was a nice upgrade experience as well. So it's more expensive, but you have your own apartment. So meaning your own 1K room, one room apartment, where you have your own small kitchen, your shower, like a toilet, like your unit bath. So in a way, you just have your own apartment, but you are part of a bigger social group there. So, and it was really nice. So they don't really have certain rules between, like if it's foreigner or non-foreigner. So the first available room is open to like anyone that wants to get it. So they do come with a more strict contract, a minimum amount of months that you need to stay, and you have to pay a few fees as well. While Borderless House was really just pay like one fee and then you can move in, and you can cancel after like 3 months or something. So it was very flexible. Social apartments is really for like more longer term, or if you have a higher budget, you can probably find a place that they rent for monthly tenants as well. But usually people stay a year at least. So then if you try to find an apartment, it's hard to get an apartment because you're doing it from overseas online. And so you probably have to go through agency or somebody that that is in Japan locally. So, and there's this service called Weave Living, and Weave Living, they in a way do what you might not be able to do in Japan if you are not physically in Japan and don't speak Japanese. So they will provide with you some accommodations in Tokyo, I think in Tokyo mostly. Yeah, and they are very flexible, that they allow you to book with them using a credit card that is non-Japanese. And so you don't have to worry about payment or like financials. And I'm not sure how their contract setup is like, but I know that they make it very easy for people to actually find a place to stay and who want to have their own apartment. So that's also, they're foreign friendly, because I think they are from Singapore. So go to Japan. That's your next step. So you just hop on a plane, and so like if you have your visa, you have your accommodation set, so now you just go to Japan, right? Once you arrive in Japan, like at the airport, I think I went to a booth of the Japanese immigration to actually get that stamp to work part-time. And so it's called the permission to engage in activity other than the permitted under the status of residence previously granted. I think it was like a small stamp at the back of your residence card that you get once you arrive in Japan. And I believe it was a small booth. I think it was done at the airport for me. So make sure you check that out once you are at the airport, because otherwise it will take you a long time to do this. If you, for example, go to your share house from the airport, you probably have to go back anyway, or to go to the Japanese immigration office anyway. So just do it at one go. So at the airport, ask for it. People will help you. You get the stamp. I think you need to fill in an application form, right? So application form, and you need your residence card. That's something that you will get once you arrive at the airport as well. So I did apply for the airport. So once you get that stamp on the back of your residence card, then you can legally work 28 hours. So once you get that stamp at the back of your credit card, you can legally work 28 hours per week, and it will be a very nice thing to do. So in a way, this is a bit of a final step, because even if you are in Japan, you probably only have your accommodation, so you don't have anything that is tied to living a good life on a daily basis. I mean, your place is nice, but how are you going to buy food and everything else? So it's to get it and set up your phone. So it's the first one. That's to get a Japanese phone number. That's probably one of the more important ones to do first. And I say first because you need to have an order here. So first you get the Japanese phone phone number, I went to Big Camera. It's a Japanese electronics store, and I got a Big SIM. And Big SIM is just a SIM card from Big Camera. And so they gave data plans, but also voice. So meaning that SIM card that you can use with your unlocked smartphone, and then you in a way join their subscription plan at a very, very affordable rate. So it's between 5 and 15 euros. I just checked the website. They are very, very good. So they are the ones that I use, and they are very, very good. You get like 2 gigabytes for like $5 and 20 gigabytes for $13 per month. So once you got the Japanese number, you can actually go to finally open your Japanese bank account. You will need that to start paying for things and get access to money much easier. Do this after you got your phone number. So then you get the bank account. And for the bank account, I went to the Japan Post Bank. So I brought a friend, a Japanese friend, and he helped me out to set up my bank account, fill in the form, but also to talk about the options I want. And so I got the cash cards to withdraw money. If you don't have a Japanese friend, so ask somebody in a share house at the school. They should be able to help you out as well. But then also, if you don't want to go to the Japan Post Bank, I think I would recommend also to go to Shinsei Bank. I have accounts at both banks, and Shinsei Bank, I think they were able to accommodate you in English as well, so which was very good. They are English friendly on site, so the website as well, and on site they have staff that speaks English, but you need to book in advance. And their support, so their call center is also in English. They have at least somebody that can speak English to you as well. So they are very good when you don't have any level of Japanese and don't have anyone to ask, right? You need a Japanese address, of course, if you have your accommodation, right, and a phone number. So that's why this is step 2. And then for step 3 is to actually find your part-time work. And this is going to be an ongoing thing. So it will not be a 1-week thing. So while you study and explore Japan, also work on finding some part-time work if you really are in need of some income, part-time income at least. And so I found my first part-time job on Craigslist. Japan, they have like a sub-site there. I'm not sure if they still exist. And it was a real estate agent that was looking for support with their website. So it was a web developer's role. And I applied and I hopped on a call, and then I visited the office and I got the job. So then I was able to work 20 hours per week. But there's other options as well, such as Indeed, which is more formal. So I think the people that post there will probably want you to speak very good Japanese. So there's Townwork, Hello Work, and other ways as well. So if you don't speak a lot of Japanese, I would not recommend you to go through those sites directly. You'll probably be denied because of the level of Japanese. So if you know certain places that, for example, they don't need you to speak Japanese, then you could look for employment there part-time. So for example, if you don't need to speak Japanese, for example, if you're looking at working as a kitchen staff somewhere, like a team of international people, right? So those options exist, but they are probably limited, and you will have to probably apply yourself. So they won't probably have their jobs at job boards. But the school will also help you out to find a part-time job. So I would say also check with the school and your friends or your roommates, right, as well, housemates as well. So I would still say practice Japanese interviewing. So even if you're very, basic, it's better than nothing. And if you show willingness to speak in Japanese, they will be more willing to actually teach you how to help out and work with them. So, and hire you in a way. So prepare a Japanese resume. They have this fixed format of things with picture and everything else. I'm not going to talk about that, but ask a friend or school to review that fixed format or help you to fill it in. There's a lot of documentation about this online. I will also go over this in the next video, but right now, you can expect to have that as like the basis of a Japanese resume. It's probably what people would always ask you to have. So your resume and also like a reason why you want to join their company or work part-time for them. So, and then of course, as a final step, go to school as well. Don't just focus on work. Go to school, learn Japanese, and enjoy your life in Japan. So, and then of course, go to school. Don't just focus on work, also learn Japanese, right? So so that you can get better and get more opportunities as well. So while you enjoy Japan, and make friends and have incredible experiences. So thanks for checking out the video. If you have any more questions, let me know. I will share a link to the resource down below. If you want to know more about a step that I mentioned, just shoot me an email at shorai.io and contact me there. But otherwise, just send a message in the comment section below. Stay tuned for more videos. So thank you for watching.